All right, no big intro today. Yeah. I mean, do you know we're on camera?
Sure.
And this is the best you came up with?
Yeah, you got to support. They're game over 500 right now. They beat up on a good, solid Diamondbacks team that I think.
What bothers me is you thought the P was for Penn State.
If we have alternate uniforms, good Lord. If
Listen to you. We're talking now. We're calling them we.
So I caught that right away.
Just when I sit there and I tell my broadcasting class all the time.
Never. Unless you play it for them, don't ever
use the word we.
Oh, I learned that. I just failed broadcasting 101 because I was taught that 20 years ago and I still just failed. If Penn State would use alternate uniforms with red, I'd be concerned. Especially if it's in Columbus, especially. Then you got red on red.
You'd be concerned. I'd be like, I'm looking around like, well, am I in some? Am I in? Suddenly, you feel like you're in Seinfeld in the Bizarro World episodes. My goodness. That'd be just awful. But I talked to Scott Lauber yesterday from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I said, Scott, what has been the difference in the Phillies in the past few weeks? And he said it's been starting pitching, he felt.
I think it's a big part of it.
Because Nola pitched yesterday.
I was going to say, Nola's got to be better.
All right, but Nola pitched yesterday and was good enough.
Yeah, it was good enough,
And they've been able to close. Kimbrel, whose ERA does not reflect how he's pitched the last 3 weeks. Kimbrel's been pretty good the last 3 weeks when he gets the pitch off in time. How many pitch clock violations did he have? 3?
Oh my goodness,
3?
Yeah,
something like that.
The ironic part of all, before he came to Philadelphia, they would mock his stance the whole time.
Oh, sure. No,
several times.
Atlanta, Boston. Oh, yeah. No, they did.
They literally mocked his, and it was funny at the time. Now you're pulling for him to succeed.
It's interesting. What's the one game they lost, though? The one game they lost in the series was the bullpen game.
Yeah.
And I asked Scott about that, Scott Lauber, Philadelphia Inquirer. I said, Scott, I said, Phillies aside. I said, Phillies aside. I said, why is it there are several teams, not every team, why is it several teams can't find a fifth starter today? Yeah. Because we will hear about bullpen games in the season, but we'll hear about bullpen games in the postseason. I never thought in my lifetime I'd hear about a bullpen game in the postseason. And I know that the again, this is the analytics of it, where the analytics part of it only deals with the perfect world and doesn't deal in reality. Right? Their thought process is on analytics, you get to see the guy one time and he can just throw his best stuff the one inning. Or maybe it's 2. Okay.
Right.
All right. So does that make sense? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you're asking 4 or possibly 5 guys to do this. You're asking 5 people. So say you go 2, 4, 6, 8, and then a closer. You're asking 5 people to all do that and have their best days.
Yeah. That's
okay. All right. I mean, instead of having one guy go out there and maybe carry the load for 5 or 6 innings, fight through a couple things, maybe make a couple of mistakes, and then you can turn the ball over to other people to do that. And there's a reason why starters are starters and relievers are relievers. Right? Starters expect to go 5 or 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Relievers expect to go 1 or 2. And I don't know. Analytics is interesting. It deals in a perfect world. So, okay, it's 4th down and 1 at your own 12-yard line. What do you do?
Yeah. No, typically fourth down and one at your own 12. Yeah, you punt the football. Right. Common sense would tell you that, yeah.
What does analytics tell you to do?
Yeah. The opposite.
Tell you to go for it.
Yeah, and I think that's, and we've made this point quite a few times, but I think that is where a lot of managers especially get into trouble. A lot of coaches / managers get into trouble. A lot of times you outthink yourself. That's number one. As a coach, that happens. That's natural. But the other part of it is relying too much on analytics than your game plan and what you believe. And that suddenly becomes an issue. Now, am I saying analytics are always bad? No, they're great.
Analytics are a way to win.
Way to win, absolutely.
No question.
But
analytics is only a way to win.
Only a way to win.
Okay? There are many ways.
It can also get in the way to win.
But there are many ways to win.
Absolutely, and that's a big part of it. And that's the concern always with baseball. You go back to. The World Series, Game 4, 2020. Rays pitching a great game. Blake Snell's pitching a great game. Kevin Cash takes him out, and look what happens. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Just analytics tell you something. And I go back to the Phillies days of Gabe Kapler. And Gabe Kapler, I think, to his credit, learned a lot from it because I think he's done a great job in San Francisco.
He's been a good manager for the Giants.
Been phenomenal.
No doubt.
But, he used the analytics quite a few times when guys were throwing a one-hitter in Philadelphia. That's why, when you look at it, does it help sometimes? Is it a way to win, as you said? Absolutely. But it's also in the way sometimes to win or lose. And that is the worry that I think a lot of people have to realize when you rely so much on analytics. And I think, that 4th and 1 at the 12-yard line, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. We've seen it so many times, and you look at the Eagles with the Jalen Hurts quarterback sneak. That play works, 99 times out of 100. So no matter where you are on the field, analytics are going to tell you to go for it.
Right.
And that's a big example of why. Yes, they're a way to win, no question about it. But they concern me in a big way because I think you get away from sometimes even the common sense of the game with it, and that's. A concern if you go by it and just rely on it completely. Do they help? Can you rely on them? Yes. Do you fully rely your job on them? That's a big risk.
It is. And you have to have a feel for the game.
Yep.
It is something that it's an expression that those who deeply believe in analytics hate to hear. They think it's bizarre, but there are certain people that have an innate feel for it. Now, does it mean that they make every correct decision? No, of course not. Nobody makes every correct decision. Well, you usually do pretty well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Today's shirt.
Except for playing the lottery numbers. I never can make the correct decisions on those. Yeah, that's the ones I'm really trying hard on.
Wardrobe's another one. It's like a daily thing.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It's got a big P. I graduated from Pottsville. It somewhat represents the alma mater. And we had crimson colors, too. It's very close.
No words. But you're not going to make every decision correctly.
No, and that's with or without analytics.
But it's the people that have a sense for the moment. Right. So I'll give you. So let's take Joe Paterno. There was one year where he called 6 plays. Because he wasn't calling the plays. It was he called 6 plays the entire season. All 6 were touchdowns. Because you say, look, we need to run this. It's open. Really? I remember when they told me that, and they told me which plays they were. I went, oh, my God. There was a play against Alabama in 1985. Penn State's backed up in its own end. Game was in Beaver Stadium. they ran a reverse to Michael Timpson that went for about 29, 30 yards, changed the whole momentum of the game. And then John Schaefer got hurt on the drive, and they brought in Matt Kisner.
Yep.
And Kisner took it, rolled out, and hit, I think it was Brian Seiberling for a touchdown.
Yep. Joe
called both those plays. Right? He said, now let's steal Joe's words here. All right, it's good. This is how Joe would say it. You know? And I remember exactly him telling me, because I was doing the post-game show on the radio network then. I was as the third announcer. And I said, he says, Joe, the sequence that put you in front, I said, let's start with the reverse. I said, what did you see that allowed you to think that call was open? He said, Steve, I said, they were going one side, and I went up to, it had to be Franny, right?
Yeah.
Frank Ganner. He said, I went to Franny. He says, Franny, we got to run the Sally. And that's how Joe referred to the reverses.
Yeah.
He said, we need to run the Sally. Right. Because the flow they've been running a certain way with Dozier. Bang, 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 right? And takes Timpson up there. I said, Joe, now the touchdown pass. I said, John Schaefer gets hurt. Matt Kisner comes in the game. I said, what made you think, let's go up top here on the first play? And he said, I didn't think they would expect it, and plus he's good when he rolls out. Okay. What analytics is going to tell you to do
None.
that?
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, Joe would not have used analytics. Can almost guarantee, almost single-handedly guarantee it. He would not have used it.
Should analytics be a part of every coaching staff? Yes.
Even having an analytics person that is looking at it, yes. Right. Agreed.
Look, because James goes off analytics script all the time.
Sure.
James will go off analytics script all the time, say, hey, we got to do this. We got to do this now. Right? Mike, we got to take some shots. He does. James says, it's interesting that I hear there's always going to be criticism of everybody about how they go about it. James has to me, and part of this is being around practice, a great feel where he doesn't have to just sit there with a card and mechanically go A, B, C. No. James doesn't do that. James kind of watches what's going on, and he's got a feel for what's going on as to what they need to do at a certain time. And now let's give you one where it didn't work. Okay? It didn't work, and I totally, to this day, agree with it. Penn State was losing to Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, 21-7. It was the first half. Penn State had the ball on their own side at their own 42 maybe, something like that, and they went for it. Yep. I'm sitting in the booth, and and you get this feeling in the booth, and I kept thinking, you know what? I'm thinking. I didn't say, in fact, I think I did say it to Jack. I said, Jack, they may have to go for it here. I said, they've got to change the dynamics of this game.
Yeah, that was fresh off. That was when McSorley, I think, fumbled for a touchdown the other way. Yeah, Watt was getting in the backfield quite a bit. Yep. Yeah, no doubt about it. Right.
And they didn't make it.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin went down and scored and made it 28-7. But to this day, I still feel it was the right decision to make. It does not it didn't work.
Yep. And the same on that.
What, because it didn't work, it doesn't mean it means it's the wrong decision. It didn't work. I thought it was the right decision. It's something I was really glad he did. It's
you have confidence in your players.
It stinks. It didn't work, but it doesn't. But that has nothing to do with the decision.
Right.
Well, then Penn State then hit the big plays.
Yeah.
Cy Blacknall with the big touchdown catch before the half. All of a sudden, you're like sitting in there in the booth and looking around going, Penn State gets the ball to start the second half. And then, of course, bang, they hit the big pass play to Cy Blacknall again. Right? Now, suddenly, it's a 28-21 game, and you're looking over at the far sideline, which was the Wisconsin sideline. They're all looking at you like, we got a problem here.
And then they miss a field goal. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, Wisconsin only scored 3 points in the second half of the game.
Yep.
Right. And Penn State outscored them 21-3 in the second half, and won the game, won the Big Ten championship, and then the College Football Playoff Committee, which is like just does everything by numbers and has really no feel for who's really good.
Decided Washington was good.
Yeah. After that powerful non-conference schedule of Portland, Idaho, Rutgers.
Massive.
Like, okay.
Massive.
All right. This team here's won 9 games in a row against Big Ten competition.
Against Big Ten competition. And the argument every time that it was brought up was,
It was
the record, and it was Michigan.
In the Michigan game.
Yeah, it was Michigan where they were blown out in Ann Arbor. I can list quite a few teams, great teams, that were blown out in Ann Arbor. It happens. It's not, it happens. They're a good football team.
It happens. There's going to be a team that gets in the new setup with 12 starting in 2024. There will be a team that gets blown out early in the season by somebody
and then bounces back.
That makes it, and then makes a run in the playoff because now they're playing their best football.
Absolutely.
And might win the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. There's going to be a team that gets blown out early in the season, recovers, makes the playoff, and makes a run.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely. Happens in every level. And this could be my 49 seconds. But the 49ers in 94, they were blown out by the Eagles.
Oh, here we go.
40-8.
Oh, this is just...
But that's a prime example.
Go ahead. Tell us
you're blown out.
I'm
well,
sure it was great.
That's the one that sticks right away. But no, they were blown out and blown out.
Was Steve Young the quarterback?
Yeah, he was benched.
This is great. Got benched.
Benched, got into it with George Seifert on the sideline. It was a team that had lost 2 games. Looked as bad as they looked, and look what happened. That's prime example there at the NFL level. But I can tell you plenty.
Do you know anything about any other team in the league?
Sure, plenty.
Really?
Yeah. But that's the example that comes to mind immediately.
What do you think of the Falcons?
I'll tell you what, the Falcons are not far off. They really aren't. They're going to be bad this year.
I'm sorry
I
asked.
They're going to be bad this year, but I really think actually with the running game they have, they're not far off.
I'm sorry.
But they're never going to get over losing, blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super. That's tough to come back from.
Nobody's left from that.
Nobody's left from it, but it's not easy to come back from it. Oh, there's a guy left from that. He's coaching in San Francisco right now. And
the other guys with the defensive
coordinator for the Cowboys, who is as good of a defensive coordinator as anybody in the league. Yeah. To his credit, but that's a prime example. And I can tell you, there's state high teams plenty of times. They got blown out 42-0 by North Allegheny first game. Came back and won the district, got into the semifinal, got into the sub-region. It happens though. That's the point. There's no question about it. These teams get blown out, they come back, they're playing their best football. We've seen it at the NFL level more so than anything, where the wild card team sneaks in and they go to the Super Bowl and sometimes win the Super Bowl. It happens repeatedly, and that's not Giants got hot how many times?
Oh,
and went to the Super Bowl.
Bowls.
Yeah. Raiders in 1980, same thing. Yeah, this stuff happens, and point being, going back to the main point, Penn State should have been in the playoff that year. Absolutely.
Well, that's
Am I saying they would have won? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying woulda, coulda, shoulda. Exactly. It's a great point. And I tell you what's tougher for me is the 2017 year. As you're looking at that, you just think you're a couple plays, you're 4 points away, you're a couple plays away, and that's the kind of stuff that has to haunt coaches and players for a long time. And that was the year where I just felt like they had everything going for them, played as well as I've seen a Penn State team play in Columbus. Had Ohio State up 28-10, you're up 28-10, 21-3. And then obviously the Michigan State, and that happens once every papal election. That does not happen. That was, I think, more tougher from the outside looking in.
Penn State blocks a field goal, runs it back for a touchdown. That was called a fluke. Denzel Ward blocks a punt to turn the game around, but that was really
that was just really great.
We live in a bizarre world.
Really great. Yeah.
We live in a bizarre
Absolutely.
world.
That was
like you sit there and think, okay, that's why I am a person who has ripped apart narratives for a long time, because I think most narratives are
ridiculous. Yes.
Most narratives are
They're not even wrong. I won't even go as far. I won't even say wrong. I'd say ridiculous.
It's almost like a lot of them are the land of make-believe.
Yeah, completely.
But back to analytics for a moment. They had to put in rules in Major League Baseball for two reasons.
Right.
One, because analytics justifiably told managers how to defend hitters, because it gave them all the spreadsheet data on it. So they had to take out the shift because the analytics people did too good a job. Now let's flip it to the other end. So that's blunting a group that's doing a great job, the analytics guys. Okay? Why do we have pitch clock? Because the umpires weren't doing their job.
Spot on.
All right? They were not doing their job. There was already a rule in there about length of time between a pitch. It was already 20 seconds. It was already in the book. I saw Juan Marichal, believe it or not, at the tail end of his career, he pitched for the Red Sox. They were playing Cleveland, and he got a pitch violation for taking too long, and it was called an automatic ball. I saw it. I was watching the game at the time. I went, wow, I didn't know that rule existed. So I knew the rule was in the entire time. Now, there was a guy last year for the Red Sox. They're playing the Yankees, a relief pitcher. Oh, I can't remember which one it was. From Japan. He went, they put a watch on him in the booth. 36 seconds between pitches. 36 seconds.
Man, oh man.
Right? And I'm watching this. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? It's just out there spinning the ball, taking his time, wiping it. Get on the mound.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay? Dude, get in the box. Hit.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a two-way street. That second part is absolutely.
But the umpires were not enforcing the rules. They were letting these guys get away with everything because you've got to stick to your routine. What, you didn't put the batting gloves on the first time?
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly where I was going with it. How many times do you have to adjust the batting glove?
I'm wearing my glove.
I really, literally.
Okay, and ball two.
Yeah, literally. Okay. Those batting gloves aren't hitting for you, I promise.
1-1.
Literally.
Get back in the box.
Yeah, I agree.
did not pay my money to watch you. Okay? Put them on once.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay? If it tears, get a new pair. Okay?
Yep.
Okay? If the batting glove tears, go get a new pair.
Yeah. Otherwise, keep them on.
Hey, it's like, what do you got to eat?
Or go old school and don't wear batting gloves. One of the two.
Isn't it Gaddis doesn't wear batting gloves?
Yeah. Yep.
Does Harper? Harper doesn't wear batting gloves, does he?
Harper, as far as I know, does. I think he is.
There's one guy.
He's got a contract that he.
Okay.
Yeah, he wears
Franklin or something like that.
Under Armour. Yeah.
Under Armour?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. There's Evan Gaddis doesn't.
Yep, he was one.
That I know. But there's one other guy who's not a bad player who does not wear batting gloves. You sit back and go, wow.
Yeah.
All right. But this is Nomar Garcia-Parra would get up every single time, like Nomar. Yeah. Right? What are you doing? You didn't put him on right.
Yep. David Ortiz, same thing.
Okay, when you got into the box.
Yep.
Okay, when you're sitting in the dugout, put him on.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be kidding me. Well, they weren't enforcing the rules. They weren't speeding up the game. They had to put in rules for the umpires.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. Everybody's like talking like these are the rules for the players. Those are rules to force the umpires to do it. Right? Now, the shift thing, that's because the analytics guys are doing too good a job. Right? Let's give credit where credit's due. They were doing a great job with spray charts and everything like that, and because everybody now has to do their lunge angle, right? Here's one for you. How about slapping the ball to left field? That counts. I was saying yesterday to Kyle, I'm watching the Yankees-Mets game. So I only watched the last 3 innings. Mets scored a run. There was a throw to the plate. I think Trevino was the catcher. Makes a really good alert play, throws the second. Why is Nimmo that far off the bag? Right? And Nimmo's like trying to get back to the bag. Hey, okay, so let's chalk him up. Doesn't know how to play. Then let's see. You start the 10th inning, and the Mets get out of it. Yankees don't score. So now the Mets are going to start the bottom of the 10th with a runner on second, Escobar. Now, what I would like to do is I like to bunt him over the third, because now I can get him in on a wild pitch, a pass ball, an error, a single, a sacrifice fly, even a deep infield ground out. It'll probably force him to bring the infield up, so I might be able to bloop him in. Right? Carl Ravitch and David Cohn and Eduardo Perez are explaining that this guy was a middle-of-the-order hitter in AAA and doesn't bunt. I'm sitting there like, doesn't bunt?
Yeah. The greatest of all time laid down bunts. Mickey Mantle, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr. bunted.
When you go to batting practice, okay, now maybe batting practice has changed since
I was going to say since I played, because I had to bunt 3 balls before I even swung the bat.
We had to bunt twice.
Yeah. Yep.
We had to put down 2 successful bunts before we were allowed to swing away. Now, part of that is it gets you to bunt, right?
Yep.
Number 2 is, it gets you to see the ball and put that on ball. Now I'm seeing the ball. Okay. You can't bunt? No, naturally, of course, he strikes out on 3 pitches.
Yeah.
And I'm talking
can't hit that either.
Waves like a wild man, can't hit anything. I'm like going, okay, so he doesn't know how to play. Then Nimmo comes up. Now, Nimmo needs to atone for the boneheaded play he made earlier. He drives a ball deep to right field. Okay. I can't remember who the right fielder is who's replacing Judge. Okay. And, of course, Bader's been out. This guy, Nimmo's a left-handed hitter. He's playing in. The guy's on second base. He gets a base hit, What are you guarding against? The single? He hits the ball deep to right field. Okay. Now, if he'd been playing just normal depth, he's going to catch the ball. Okay. No, so we mispositioned ourselves. Okay, doesn't know how to play.
Happens, yeah.
No, doesn't know how to play.
Yeah, more so.
And that's probably somebody in the dugout that doesn't know.
Yeah, that's a more likely scenario. Right. Yeah.
Goes back, can't make the play, goes off the wall, stops. Game's over. Game's not over. Get the ball.
Yeah.
Because what happened was the second part is the other guy that doesn't know how to play. Escobar goes 4 feet off the bag, and then the ball falls, and he says, I better go. Hey, Escobar, how about going halfway?
We're as far to get back safely.
Right? Where if he catches it, you can get back to second base.
Yeah.
Instead, now you actually had a play at the plate because Gleyber Torres, to his credit, backed it up. Right? Meanwhile, the other guy's like, well, it's over. Like, go get the ball. Right? Because guess what? As little as you know how to play, which you don't, the runner doesn't know how to play either. And he's like 4 feet from the bag. And I was like, it fell in. Now he's going to take off. And he absolutely has to crush himself getting to the plate. And he gets there, you're like I'm watching this thinking, this is Major League Baseball? I sat there. I'm thinking to myself, I'm amazed by watching all of this.
I will never forget the greatest play-by-play call. Well, not the greatest play-by-play call I ever heard. The greatest play-by-play boneheaded call. Well, the great play-by-play, but the boneheaded play itself. Ruben Rivera running in the Giants.
Oh,
John Miller called him out. Literally on the play. He just called him out. Said that's the worst base running in the history of the game. And he wasn't wrong. It was terrible.
How about Craig for the Pirates? Or Javi Baez.
Javi Baez. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that one was...
I mean, and they got to run out of it. And Baez, I'm like, what am I watching here?
I am told, Jason, you are semi-wrong. Bryce Harper is 50-50 on batting gloves.
Okay.
Vladdy Jr. does not wear batting gloves.
Vladdy Jr. does not wear.
Kyle Tucker, okay. Matt Carpenter are a couple that come to mind.
Okay.
Matt Carpenter actually does not. That's good. That one I definitely know. Now that he says that.
And Vladdy Jr. doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Harper's 50-50 apparently. I have to watch Bryce closer.
Look,
especially the fact that he's only a hitter now.
Maybe if you would spend less time scouting every 49er, every college player for the 49ers, more time watching Major League Baseball.
Oh, I don't even need to scout Tig.
You would know that.
Don't even need to scout Tig. I know, and I know what the Niners got in him. Phenomenal. I was ecstatic to see him in San Francisco.
But you keep sending notes to John Lynch all the time.
Yeah, he reads them sometimes. I don't understand why.
You want to know when he reads them? Right? Those are the ones he sends over to the police.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. He sends them over to the police, crumbles them on the floor. Literally,
these are your people.
He gave me full-fledged directions on how to make a paper airplane, and then there went my note right across the floor. I'll tell you what.
I mean, he was here a year ago.
Yeah, for Pro Day.
For Pro Day.
Yeah.
Right. I'll tell you, for a guy his age, he has great moves because he was avoiding you the whole time.
I know. I'll tell you, Hall of Fame, and ironically enough, that's the year he goes into the Hall of Fame. Somebody was still scouting him, I'll tell you.
Boy, if he can move like that to avoid Jason Lord, I'm telling you right now, we got to put him in the Hall. He's still got something.
Then he gets in. How about it?
Your guy. Ja Morant, 25 games.
Not surprised. I actually think that's I was saying 25 to 30, so that's exactly what I was thinking was going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking 15. That's probably not enough, but
no, because it's the second offense. I think first time around 15 would have been plenty, but yeah, and you just hope he learns from it. You hope he grows from it and understands that he is an idol to people. That's, I think, one of the biggest things that you have to look at when you're an athlete, and hopefully he does learn this time around.
Yeah, I think part of it's got to be that sometimes you have to be careful about the people you surround yourself with.
Oh, no doubt about it. Michael Vick learned that the hard way.
And this is what I mean by that.
Mike Tyson learned it the hard way. Both of them.
Let me so follow me all the way through on this, if you could. That includes you, the listener. Hang in. As you know, in the broadcast booth, Roger Corey's up there, Bob Taylor, I'm up there, Jack, Brian's on the field. But there's one other person at home that's up there, and that's Ron Moeller. Okay. And Ron is Jack's best friend from childhood. The interesting part is that Ron in high school was the star athlete, not Jack. Ron was the quarterback on the football team. Ron was the shortstop. In baseball, Ron was the point guard in the basketball team. Ron was the high school star. Jack's the one that ended up being the college and pro football star and going into the Hall of Fame. But why are they such close friends to this day? They're close friends to this day because when Jack was not the star and Ron was the star, they were best friends. And when Jack became the star and Ron wasn't the star, they were still best friends. And Jack knew that Ron wasn't hanging around him because he was winning Super Bowls and going into halls of fame. Right. And that's how you know that is a test of the people you want around you. Would they be around you if you weren't successful? I mean, and when I mean successful, I mean like Hall of Fame successful, okay?
Sure.
Super Bowl successful. If you were just somebody that was a success in life, but not a star in life, would they be around you? Would they be your best friend? Those are the people you surround yourself
Absolutely.
with. It's the problem that some athletes have, not all, but some, is they develop an entourage around them.
Yeah.
And the entourage around them is around them because they're the hangers-on with the star.
Yeah. That's a great point.
And it becomes difficult for stars, like for example, Taylor Swift is down in Pittsburgh.
Is Acrisure tonight? Yeah, tomorrow.
She's at Acrisure Stadium tomorrow?
Tonight and tomorrow.
Tonight and tomorrow, okay. She's probably at the stage of her life right now where, like, what's my inner circle? Which people do I trust? Who's just here because I'm having success in life?
Yeah, pretty much.
If I fall off the map, are any of these people going to be here?
Right.
Right? And I'm sure there's a tight circle that no matter what will be there, no matter what. Okay. And that's something that young stars, it's hard to figure out. Now, Morant, I'm a bit surprised because, look, Morant goes to Murray State. Okay, well, he's a big man on campus, but, you're not a Duke.
Right.
Okay. True. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And he kind of overcame the odds of being the second overall pick by being a player out of Murray State. And with the hockey player, his dad played against Penn State in the NIT and Maurice Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, he played against Penn State in the NIT. Okay, fine. It turns out his son ends up being a star first-round pick in the NHL. But who you end up surrounding yourself with? Who, like, suddenly this enters into the entourage that is like one of the hangers-on, and that becomes a problem. How do you judge that? I don't know how you judge that because I don't know. I've never been in that.
Never been in that spot. Yeah, same here.
Don't look at me.
No, it's a great point, though.
I mean,
absolutely.
Especially when you're 21, 22, 23, 24.
And that's the other point.
How do you figure out?
Yep.
Right. I mean, like Jack's on the Steelers. Like his roommate in training camp was Mike Wagner. Well, Mike Wagner was kind of in the same spot where Mike had to fight his way to get on the team to begin with. Right? So immediately those guys bonded because they were really in the same, like, okay, Jack was a high pick, second round pick, right? And was an All-American. But Mike was, and then Mike turned out to be an outstanding player. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who understood how to play the game. Mike Wagner did.
Yep.
Right? But that's how they bonded together, and the friendship continues to this day. But I think it's going to be hard over time as to, like, trying to make a judgment is like, are they friends with me because I've had success?
Yep.
That I'm a singer, I'm a Hall of Fame player,
yep.
I'm a, whatever. And I think that has to be hard. But I go back to, like, Ron Moeller. Ron Moeller and Jack were friends as kids. Mm-hmm. So neither one knows what pathway they're going to be at that point. They just like each other. They're friends. Yeah. I mean, I admire the fact that you've been able to shed as many hangers on as possible. With stars such as yourself.
I know. I kicked the entourage before I get in here, but I think.
I saw you screaming at him in the hallway.
I'll tell you, it's sometimes just has to lay down the law.
That part where you screamed out, "Don't you know who I am?" I turned around and I went the other way.
Sure, they shook their heads, but they'll learn. I think it also adds to. It's a big reason, I think, humongous reason, and you bring up the point. I'm glad you bring up Taylor Swift because it's a great point, and I think actors, same thing.
Yes.
Players, same thing. Not only the entourage of who you associate yourself with, but the importance in sports of having a veteran presence in the locker room who has been there before.
Yes.
And the importance, you look at an actor, you go to, you're in your first or second movie and you have, Jack Nicholson or John Candy or something was with you. You have that mentor to say, okay, I've been here before, kid. Here's how it is. Say a musician. You get valuable advice from those who have been here for 30, 40 years. And I think that's a huge importance to success. I think is learning how to balance it and accept it. Some people never learn that. Unfortunately, some are not here anymore. And some are, have, I'd say underachieved to where they could have been. You look at you go back to, and there are examples where, look, you have veteran leadership and it doesn't work. I go back to the New York Mets in the 86, 87, 88. Mm-hmm. You had the veteran leadership, unfortunately. Two guys that I think, to me, were two of the best players I ever saw in the game of baseball, talent-wise, didn't listen. And, fortunately, Strawberry and Gooden. Yeah. Strawberry has turned his life around, fortunately. Dwight Gooden, you hope and pray he will at some point. But I think, to me, that's a big part of it, is that veteran mentorship to say, hey, okay, I've been here. Well, here's what.
I talk to my class about that all the time, about mentors and how important they are. So, for me, this is a week where we've talked about Stan Savran passing away.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the world of Stan,
same.
Obviously.
Yeah. One of the first guests I had on Game Night State College when I first started in radio was Stan. Yeah, and actually, took the time to talk to me for about 10 minutes on the phone as we got set for getting into the break. Mm-hmm. And great guy, absolutely.
So I'm sitting there as the junior partner in all this when they do the round table with Joe. So it's George Paterno, it's Stan Savran, it's John Grant, it's Gil Santos, and look, it's me. I'm the junior partner. I'm the least experienced of the group. And those four individuals treated me as a complete equal. Well, at this stage of my life, I'm not equal to them. Come on. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got to work, I have to do certain things in my career with them, so I'm earning their respect. Right? I wanted to make sure I earned their respect. Yet each one of those individuals did something that took me under their wing. Stan always wanted to emphasize to me that he said, when we're sitting here all together, we're a family together, and we've got each other's backs. Okay. Gil Santos, he's the one, okay, I did not give Gil Santos high school play-by-play tapes. He asked me to give him, he says, hey, Steve, give me a couple of your tapes. I want to listen to them. He says, I want to go through them. Wow. Incredible. John Grant. John Grant always made sure he took care of me. I'll give you this: the small, little things take care of big things. Mm-hmm. Right. So, here's a small thing. First couple times we get on the bus, I think it was basketball, it wasn't football. It had to be basketball because the whole team's on one bus as opposed to football. We're not.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was basketball. And he said, by the way, he says, before we get on the bus, he says, going over the game, don't say a word. He said, they want the bus completely quiet. I said, okay. All right. And then I think the first 4 games we worked together, Penn State won. I finally got to a road game where they lost. He says, hey, don't say a word at all unless the coaches talk. I said, okay. Because he wanted to make sure I didn't get in trouble. Oh, it's like, these are the people I worked around.
Yep.
Right? That took care of me, where they wanted to make sure I got better in Gil's case, that I understood the concept of family in Stan's case, who understand the little things like, hey, I don't want you getting in trouble in John's case.
Yeah.
And it's people like that give you the best chance of succeeding.
Absolutely.
And that's that veteran leadership you're talking about. Those are the veteran leaders I had coming up through the business, that all these things I impart to people I work with today. I mean, I try to get a read, make sure, hey, look, that way everybody knows what's going on. And yes, I've listened to a lot of other tapes of people along the way as well, because Gil did that for me. Jack and I, and Dick and I, but Jack and I talk about this more than Dick and I do. We have always made sure we had each other's backs. Always. Because guess what? When it comes time to go, it's him and me. Okay? Nobody else does me. I mean, look, Roger does a great job. Bob does a great job. I mean, people do a great job. But it's him and me at this point. Right? And if either one of us makes a mistake, it is up to, we both feel the responsibility of the other guy to like there are times where if he says something, I'll pick up the chart. Instead of me correcting him on the air, I'll point to somebody on the chart so he does it himself. And then there are times, for example, if I do something, he'll look at me like this and he won't correct me. He'll point to something on the chart and go, oh, okay. And I can correct it. That's small things of having each other's back. Right? So now back to Morant. Who has his back?
Yeah.
I mean, who has the common sense to pull him aside and say, hey, Ja, come on, we got to get out of here. Come on. I'm thinking of you. I'm not thinking of me. All right? Come on. We got to get out of here.
Yep.
All right? You can't be in this nightclub. You can't have that gun. Okay?
Right.
Get rid of the gun. Let's get out of here. Okay? There's nothing but trouble here. He needs somebody to tell him that. Memphis does not have a veteran presence on the team. That's a young team.
That's exactly. That's what I was thinking.
That's a young team across the board. It's a very talented team, but it's a young team. Right? And then in terms of his circle, who's the person that walks up and goes, hey, time to get out?
Yep.
Ja, put the, hey, no guns. None. Okay?
Yep.
Knock it off with the guns.
Yep.
Okay? And this place you're in right now, this place is nothing but trouble here. Okay? Hey, Ja, remember, everybody has cell phones. What do cell phones have? They all have cameras.
They all have recorders.
I mean, who's the person that needs to tell him that? Who is he surrounded him with that is strong enough to protect him because they care about him, the person, and don't give a darn about Ja, the basketball player?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he needs to somehow have around him to then reinforce the self-discipline he needs so he can get through this. There's a lot of different layers to it.
Yeah.
But he's a young star, and you have the question of who he is surrounded by, because he needs a couple of people to have to look at him and go, yo, no.
Yeah.
Right? Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah. Hey, we can go out and have a good time. Let's go have a good time. Let's go to a restaurant. We can go to a nightclub and have a good time. You get out there, whatever. Okay? You can do that. He said, just be responsible about it.
Yep.
I mean, be responsible about it.
I use the example, I think, and he's been compared to this player quite a bit. And I use the example of Allen Iverson. I think, he has major problems, without a doubt, time and time again. Was a pro.
Dick Girardi and I are in Philadelphia. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we went out to eat, and now we're going back. Dick's going to drop me off at the hotel, and he's going to go home. And we're going down. I'm trying to remember. It was in Center City, Philadelphia, and we went by this parking garage. And Dick says, "You know what the big rumor is?" He says that Iverson has a car in there, and it's been in there for 8 years.
Oh my goodness. That wouldn't shock me knowing him. Would not shock me.
Really?
Would not shock
Holy
me.
Cow.
Would not shock me knowing AI. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with him, he's very immature, very selfish as a young player. And, what happened? You bring in Larry Brown.
Yeah.
You bring in Dikembe Mutombo.
It makes a difference.
Suddenly it makes a big difference. Michael Jordan, offensive player, didn't really know the full concept of the game. You bring in Phil Jackson.
Yep.
Big difference. And I think that's Memphis needs that right now.
Yeah.
Memphis is too talented as a team to not have veteran leadership, and Jaw's too talented of a player to deal with the issues he's dealing with right now on his own.
I mean, that's going to be important for him. By the way, Hershey and was it Coachella Valley or whatever? They're playing for the AHL, the Calder Cup.
Yeah,
I guess that series is now tied
at 2 games. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
How about that? And I don't know if they sold out the Giant Center or not last night.
I do not know.
I mean, I guess they had a big crowd. It was pretty enthusiastic. And the Bellefonte Dallas baseball game today,
yes,
is postponed to 1:30 tomorrow.
Yep, same times for games.
You ever been to Dallas?
Like Scranton area? Oh yeah.
You've been to Dallas?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They won a state championship several years ago in football.
My first 2 years I was at the Penn State Wilkes-Barre campus. I lived in Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, so I do have a...
Yeah, I remember being to Dallas. Yep. Grew up in eastern Pennsylvania. Definitely,
in the back mountain area.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have an affinity for the town. I was actually in it a month ago because my friend Rick and Sue came east because Rick gave the commencement speech at Penn State Wilkes-Barre. And they asked me to come up and join him to talk to the seniors the day before their commencement. And so I took a side trip over to Dallas and went, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Wyndham Clark's your leader at the U.S. Open, by the way. He's at 9 under par. Fowler hasn't started yet. Schauffele hasn't started yet. Finau's at 5 under. Let's see, Dustin Johnson's had a terrible day. He's at 3 under par, man. He's +3 on the front 9. Ooh. McIlroy's +2 today, so he's 3 under par. Wow. So, there you go. It's so far the safest place to be has been in the clubhouse. Yesterday, they tore that course up. Right now, Mickelson would miss the cut at 2 over. He's 3 over on the day playing the 12th hole. Yikes. That's not good. Yeah, it's not good. Look, so the scores are much higher today. I mean, is anybody under par for this round? Let me just check and see. Hardly anybody's there's a lot of -1s. Kim's 2 under for the day. He's +1 for the tournament. I mean, Clark, obviously. Clark's 3 under par. Finau's 3 under par for the day. Everybody else is over par.
Jeez.
They must have put the pin placement 1 foot away from the... all right, I got to have these scores 1 foot away from the fringe in the corner. Go ahead. Yeah, let's see you do that. Here's a pin placement of the trap. What? The USGA strikes again. All right. I guess it's a holiday weekend, huh?
Yes. Yes, it is.
And the Spikes are back on Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah.
6-game homestand starting on Tuesday, and Bellefonte, Dallas tomorrow at 1:30 at Medler Field, LeBron Park. And I'm going to give you a couple $100.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, have you ever
improve the wardrobe?
Have you ever heard of Peter Millar? Right? And no, he is not, a defensive back for the Falcons, okay? Have you ever heard of Peter Millar?
I have heard the name, yes.
Yeah. Maker of fine shirts?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, do you have, for example, like an agreement with Majestic that we don't know about? Or?
No, not really. They had an outlet back in the day at Vanity Fair, which helped quite a bit. That built my attire up quite a bit.
We have too good a time. All right.
That's fair.